the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up!
Well, hello, listeners, and thank you for joining me for this new adventure. Of course, I am your host, Darin Corbin. I am the loudmouth of the Lakes area, and we're trying this new sports talk setup here. As you know, many of you followed me last year when we were doing the Red Snappers, Pensacola's team that captured the heart on Twitter. And I thought, what better way to kind of analyze this than to talk more and more about it in kind of a format that could give everyone kind of a nice like interactive type way to kind of handle this. So first and foremost, for those of you who might be new to this or might be kind of unaware, please take a look at what the criteria are for this Madden 06 game. This game has been one of my favorites forever, but I figured we would give a kind of a chance to analyze this one. And we're talking about the new Cedar Rapids Fusion, but here's how it goes. This team normally has to be able to survive on its own. As you can see that we only play the home games in this one. That includes playoffs, so you have to earn your spot. The settings are slightly modified. It's not really per se a chance. A lot of people say, do you want to play on hard? No, I don't want to get freaking pissed at this game. I don't want to hate it. If you want to go play competitive, this is not the place for you. But these modified settings and the increased injuries have to make you a little bit smarter when you're playing out there. Also, it's only 3-minute quarters, and we're looking to have the best team year in and year out. How this goes. And all these players, it's kind of like a Logan's Run style where all these players are under 30 years old. The moment you turn 30, you are no longer eligible for this team. Also, we play for the fair catch. No matter where it lands, you got to play where it is. Gets you more yards that way, and you always go for it. That's how that always works. You always must go through a field goal or try and get that first down. The goals are as follows. This has kind of been the average. I've been playing this game, as you know, 06. I've been playing this game for almost 2 decades, which goes into the fact that we have the QB passing for the 300 yards, running back for 100, wide receiver for 100. Try and get over 30 points. Try and hold your opponent to under 10. And at the end, our final goals are to have the most team awards, the most awards on the team for best quarterback, best offensive lineman, running back, MVP, rookie of the year, so on and so forth. We also want to have at least 10 people make it to the Pro Bowl. Sometimes that's wishful thinking for a new team. And then finally we have try and make a dynasty, win 3 Super Bowls. Now, as you know, make it to 3 Super Bowls. As you know, the Pensacola Red Snappers made it to 4 straight Super Bowls, and they won 2 of those 4, which allowed this team to become a dynasty. But we are now going to focus on the new team here in the league, the Cedar Rapids Fusion. Cedar Rapids is an interesting spot for a new team to go. Obviously, this was originally the New York Jets, who they ended up giving up on their own team. Fan support was low, prestige was low, so it was only a matter of time before they had to move, and they moved to Cedar Rapids, where I was more known for college football. So the idea that we are going to go here, and we're going to try and shake things up a little bit, this is an interesting move, and I definitely think that a lot of people have their doubts, but interest is high right now. Also, another team that you may not have mentioned or noticed is another team moved to Boston to become the Boston Bruisers, originally the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we have 2 teams that have relocated, and I guess it's going to be kind of competitive to see who's going to be the most dominant team out of all of this. So all things considered, it's an exciting start. It's always tough to start off, and the expectations, I think the intrigue is high, but the expectations might be low. And I think that is kind of what we're trying to build here, because no one just forms a team overnight. No one really just comes into the forefront. So if we look into this, the best way that you start is you build up your future. And the Fusion had 4 first-round picks. 4 first-round picks in this, which is amazing. The 2nd, the 3rd, the 8th, and the 26th pick overall. The first pick was the Eagles that they had. They had the draft pick. And then 3, it was the 2nd round, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd pick. And to maximize that capital, that trade capital has been a thing that has been great for all young teams, and especially with so many people being ineligible over 30 and having to get rid of many people who weren't going to be resigning. it is a good way to build. But what do you focus on? Do you go offense? Do you go defense? What exactly do the Cedar Rapids Fusion focus on to look at this? And let's break it down. First thing that you notice is always going for the offensive line. That is the biggest one. And second overall draft pick went to the right tackle, DeFalco Madhorse at right tackle. Now, again, offensive line was bare in the free agent, so they made a very smart move picking this team. Also, 2 in the second round where it went to left guard, Tonka Fusgold, and then right guard, Mac Grussi also got drafted into this. So 3 positions were filled, and then a center was signed in the during the free agents. But the little spot is going to be that left tackle. We'll get back to that in a second. As you know, if you're going to build up any franchise, the biggest thing that you can do, building up any franchise, you have to have a great offense or an elite quarterback. That is the face of your team. And that 3rd overall pick went to Rockwell Welchmanner, as who they ended up selecting. Was picked because of his, it said, he has exceptional accuracy. He plays through injuries, which is important when you have the increased injuries like this. If you remember from the Red Snappers, Randy Liam Buckstomper was a scrambling quarterback, one of the fastest in the league, faster than most running backs. And above average, I would say. The speed is there for Rockwell, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays, but rookies are a risk at that spot. But you got to give him weapons. You got to give him offensive weapons, which was 8th overall, which went to wide receiver Gideon Risk. And a big thing that you got to have is a lot of speed on that field. It wasn't so much in the draft class where they made these big moves, but you'll notice that the Fusion here, that Cedar Rapids, what they did is they got 2 very fast wide receivers. One who is a 99 in speed, another who's a 97. So those should help give a lot of assets. And there's 6 wide receivers on this team, but only 1 rookie. So it'll be interesting to see who gets playing time when the season starts. And then finally, with the last pick in the draft, trying to booster that defense a little bit, which would go to cornerback Zanzibar McBurst. And hopefully they're looking to build kind of around these. But as you notice, it was 3 offensive weapons that were drafted and only 1 cornerback. Also in the second round, Sturgis Alvarado Garza is the halfback that got the selection, but might not be starting that first season because they do have a very fast returning veteran to the team. So it might be a position battle. But they did draft another good defensive weapon, which would be Draz Trombo Jr., who is going to be in the middle linebacker position. And then finally, to start it off, a new kicker. A.G. Harps is going to be the new kicker for this team. And those offensive weapons should help. But the biggest thing, like I said, position battles are a main thing. This is what we're looking at. And they did sign another quarterback. Only 2 years of experience, but was a Pro Bowler for last year. He made it to the Pro Bowl, so he definitely has a lot of veteran leadership that would be going into this, or at least a wherewithal for such a young player. So this offensive line this offensive line better hold up and give these guys a lot of offensive weapons. So I believe that what we're going to see here is potentially room to grow. But that brings us to some of the biggest weaknesses that we have on this team. One thing that we're looking at is this defense may not have been able to really come together, and not a lot of the free agent pickups, a lot of them are very run-of-the-mill to start off. Not a lot of people wanted to sign with a new franchise. A lot of people are looking for a championship or money, which at the start of this, the salary cap, they had $141 million to work with and still have cap room. So I'm not saying that it is done yet, which is a great thing. They still have room to build for the future. Now, with that said, they did get their Pro Bowl left end back. So Tony Parker is the Pro Bowl left end, so they were able to sign him. And Frank Fulcher, who is basically the team captain of this team, and on the defense side at strong safety, which is a very important position. Free safety and strong safety on this game are very important. So when you're playing here, you need to have those. So with that said, this team is coming together. We have a lot of young players. It'll be interesting to see who they develop and who will be the stars. We have a couple spots for position battles where we have the QB and the wide receivers that we have to kind of take in action. But it's definitely going to be the defense is where we're going to be looking at. And one thing that we need to find is we're going to bring in a special defensive analyst here joining us on the show today. Tom Reyes is going to be talking, defensive analyst for college football. Tom, tell us what your opinion is of this team and their defense. Thanks for joining the show, Tom.
Well, of course, I really appreciate you having me on, and I want to say that it's very flattering to see that this team could really potentially build into something. I don't know what we would need to expect out of their first year. I'm quite disappointed, honestly, on what we saw coming out of the draft class. More focus on, obviously, you got to focus on that offensive line, but a strong defensive line can also shut down and prevent scoring, which is what ideally Cedar Rapids would want to do. Only two major picks that came through, and time will tell. They weren't exactly the top picks of this draft class, so it's not exactly anybody here that would blow you away. And as you mentioned with Fulcher and Parker, still young players within themselves. But this whole defense is going to have to come together, and you know how hard it is when you move a team and they come in. It's going to be definitely a risk to see who's going to step up and honestly lead this team. So I feel that the defense could potentially be the biggest weakness that we have here. But overall, if some of these young players step up in this first year and continue to grow and improve, this is going to be a very strong core. There is a young wave that is coming through, and there is definitely a lot of room under the cap to fix these defensive holes. So I think it will be interesting to see how Cedar Rapids does in their first game. It's going to be it's going to be either a rude awakening, or you're gonna see it's gonna be glaring holes right away. So that's my analyze on this one. Darin, thank you so much for having me.
Well, Tom, I appreciate you stopping by. Of course, we always like to get a different perspective on some of this stuff. But what I want to say here real quick is we will keep you posted on everything. Please comment below what you think who will be star players, who you might think will stand out on this team, and what you think Cedar Rapids could do to kind of improve, obviously, what we're going to go through here. And we'll continue to kind of roll these out. I hope you enjoy these conversations, because we're going to have a blast talking and seeing how this team develops.